happens when the person who always offers another chance finally runs out of forgiveness? What happens when the one who never explodes decides they have endured enough? What happens when the softest heart hardens and the gentlest soul grows distant? Mons. Here is what few people openly admit. An empath, when pushed beyond their limits, can appear just as formidable as the narcissist they once tried so hard to understand. Not because they have turned cruel, but because they have finally recognized the deception. In this discussion, we will uncover the startling reality of how an empath behaves when he or she becomes genuinely angry with a narcissist. We will examine why they stop offering chances, why they begin revealing hidden truths, and why they suddenly speak with a strength and precision that astonishes everyone, even themselves. This is not about revenge. It is not about becoming toxic. It is about awakening. It is about reclaiming personal power and refusing to be manipulated any longer. If you have ever wondered what truly happens when an empath walks away from a narcissist, or if you have experienced it firsthand, you are about to witness a side of empaths you may never have imagined existed. So if you are ready to understand the transformation that unfolds when an empath becomes angry with a narcissist, stay with me. It is power. And once you understand how empaths defend themselves, not with malice, but with unwavering clarity, you will never underestimate them again. Let's begin. Man, when people speak of empaths, the image that usually appears is one of serenity, calmness, and limitless compassion. Empaths are often described as highly sensitive individuals who absorb emotions like sponges, who feel another person's pain as though it were their own, and who consistently place others ahead of themselves. Psychologists define empaths as individuals with elevated emotional intelligence, profound empathy, and an almost instinctive ability to read the emotional atmosphere around them. They are not merely kind, they are naturally wired for deep emotional connection in ways most people are not. Blind. That very quality is what draws narcissists to them in the first place. Narcissists gravitate toward empaths like moths to light. They sense the emotional depth, the desire to help, and the readiness to forgive, and they take advantage of it without hesitation. They gaslight, they induce guilt, they twist kindness into vulnerability, they reshape love into control, and for a long time, the empath remains. Why? Because they believe in healing. They believe in redemption. They believe that if they love deeply enough, listen patiently enough, and try persistently enough, they can transform. What most people fail to understand is that this belief is not endless. Sooner or later, the empath awakens to reality. The lies lose their power. The manipulation stops working. The guilt tactics fall empty. The charm no longer dazzles. And when that realization strikes, when the illusion shatters and the empath recognizes the carefully crafted deception they have been living in, something shifts. They do not erupt immediately. They do not scream or break down. They do not retaliate in obvious or dramatic ways. Instead, they choose something far more powerful. They withdraw their reactions. They stop explaining. He stops pleading. And that quiet withdrawal, that emotional stillness, that refusal to participate is where the real impact begins for the narcissist. Narcissists survive on attention. Even criticism sustains them. But indifference, true emotional detachment, is like depriving them of air. When the empath chooses silence not from hatred, but from self-protection, that is when the narcissist begins to unravel. But let's look deeper. Let's carefully examine what truly happens when an empath becomes genuinely angry with a narcissist, because it rarely unfolds the way people expect. Monde. First, the empath stops viewing the narcissist as a victim and begins seeing him as a predator. Many empaths enter these relationships believing they are helping someone damaged. They see the narcissist's wounds, the childhood trauma, the buried insecurities, and they feel compelled to heal them. Psychologists often call this the rescuer complex. It is especially common among empaths who grew up in unstable or dysfunctional environments where caretaking was necessary for survival. They convince themselves that enough love, enough patience, enough compassion can save the person they care about. But eventually, the breaking point, a moment of clarity, realizing calculated wisdom treats empathy not as a gift, but as a tool. And when that realization lands, something shifts internally. The empath no longer sees someone to repair. He sees someone who repeatedly chose harm over growth. Second, the empath stops nourishing the narcissist's ego, and that is what frightens them most. A narcissist's greatest weapon is their ability to draw emotional supply. Whether through admiration, reassurance, or even conflict, they feed on reaction. They need proof that they still hold emotional influence. But when the empath reaches true anger, not explosive anger, but awakened anger, he no longer explains himself. He no longer defends his decisions. He no longer justifies his feelings. He withdraws completely. This is not cruelty. It is boundary setting at its strongest. No more debates. No more apologies. No more attempts to fix what was never mutual. And for the narcissist, this absence is intolerable because what they fear more than criticism is invisibility. To be ignored feels worse than being disliked. To be irrelevant feels worse than being confronted. And now the empath has done the one thing the narcissist never anticipated. He has stopped providing supply. Third, the empath begins revealing the truth calmly and precisely. Once awakened, the empath no longer feels obligated to protect the narcissist's image. He understands that his silence once enabled the cycle to continue. So he speaks not with fury, not with revenge, but with clarity. He shares his experience not to destroy, but to safeguard. He warns others. He explains the warning signs, the behavioral patterns, the subtle manipulation tactics that kept him entangled for so long. And this is where the empath's perceived cruelty, though not malicious, becomes visible. Unlike the narcissist, the empath understands exactly how the narcissist operates. He observed it firsthand. He endured it. He felt it in every part of his being. And now he uses that awareness to dismantle the narcissist's carefully constructed image, one truth at a time. Fourth, the empath refuses to engage in the narcissist's games. Even when deliberately provoked, narcissists cannot tolerate losing control. So when the empath pulls away, they often return with hoovering tactics, sudden apologies, dramatic promises, extravagant gestures, urgent claims of transformation. But the awakened empath sees through it. He recognizes the cycle. He understands the strategy. He knows the remorse is perfect. And instead of stepping back into the trap, he walks away once more this time, without hesitation or doubt. And psychologists observe that this phase is pivotal in the empath's development. It marks the transition from victim to survivor, from confusion to clarity, from emotional dependency to full detachment. And that transformation is not merely uncomfortable for the narcissist. It is crushing. Fifth, the empath begins revealing the narcissist's secrets not from malice, but from necessity. One of the least understood aspects of the empath-narcissist dynamic is secrecy. Narcissists operate best in darkness. They depend on maintaining a polished exterior built on charm, distortion, and carefully crafted stories. But once the empath awakens, he no longer protects that illusion. He speaks openly not to destroy reputations, but to prevent others from falling into the same cycle. He exposes contradictions, double standards, manipulations. He brings into light what the narcissist works tirelessly to conceal. Banned to outsiders, this may appear harsh, but therapists describe it differently, as an act of protection. The empath is not retaliating. He is ensuring that others do not endure what he endured. Sixth, the empath establishes boundaries so solid that the narcissist finds no way back in. Boundaries are a narcissist's greatest threat. And when the empath finally learns not only to set them, but to enforce them without compromise, it disrupts the narcissist's entire sense of control. The empath stops answering calls, stops replying to messages, stops defending himself, stops allowing history to be rewritten or reality to be distorted. From the outside, this can look cold, even severe. In truth, it is the healthiest form of self-protection. No, it is the empath choosing stability over chaos, authenticity over illusion, and liberation over control. 1/7, the empath stops carrying the other person's emotional load, and that shift changes the dynamic completely. Empaths tend to take on the feelings and struggles of those around them. They absorb stress, worry, and tension, often without even noticing it. For a long time, the empath may have carried the other person's emotional ups and downs, hoping that patience and love would eventually create balance. But when awareness sets in, he consciously decides to put that weight down. But he no longer gets pulled into unnecessary drama. He stops trying to soothe every insecurity. He stops justifying behavior that hurts him. And most importantly, he stops blaming himself for problems that were never his responsibility. This change alone can feel unsettling to the other person. Without someone constantly cushioning their emotions, they are left to manage their own feelings. For someone unaccustomed to self-reflection, that adjustment can feel uncomfortable and overwhelming. And 8th, the empath stops reinforcing a distorted version of reality, and the illusion begins to fade. Some individuals rely heavily on others to confirm their perspective, even when that perspective is inaccurate. They look for agreement, validation, and reassurance to maintain the image they have built. For a long time, the empath may have gone along with that pattern. He may have agreed to keep the peace, accepted unfair blame, or allowed himself to be misunderstood. But once he becomes aware of what is happening, he steps out of that role. He no longer agrees just to avoid conflict. He no longer accepts blame that does not belong to him. He no longer supports narratives that twist the truth. Instead, he chooses honesty, clarity, and self-respect. And without that reflection, the narcissist's carefully constructed illusion begins to fracture. Ninth, the empath becomes emotionally inaccessible. And that pushes the narcissist into desperation. Narcissists depend on a steady stream of emotional supply. They crave attention, affirmation, and visible reactions. For years, the empath provided that supply through worry, hurt, frustration, or even repeated attempts to repair the relationship. But once the empath shuts down all emotional access, the narcissist is left confronting emptiness. There is no response, no guilt to exploit, no opening for reconciliation, no doorway back into control. That is when panic sets in, because the empath was the one person who could still evoke genuine emotion, the one person capable of restoring the narcissist's fragile sense of dominance. And now that access is gone. Chen 10th, the empath finds peace, and that becomes the final blow to the narcissist's ego. Perhaps the most devastating shift of all occurs when the empath begins to truly heal, when he rebuilds his life, when he discovers happiness independent of the narcissist, when he grows stronger, steadier, and more self-assured than ever before. The empath that he was dependent, incapable, flawed, or emotionally unstable without them. They planted doubts, reinforced insecurities, and fostered reliance. And now the empath disproves every one of those narratives. He thrives. He smiles again. He creates a life untouched by manipulation. And he does so without revenge, without bitterness, and without needing the narcissist's presence at all. From a psychological perspective, this represents the final stage of healing. It is no longer about proving anything to anyone. It is about reclaiming independence, restoring self-worth, and choosing serenity over suffering. For the narcissist, witnessing this transformation feels like their deepest fear realized, because it confirms what they never wanted to accept. They were never the true center of the empath's world. They were never loved in the way they imagined, and their power was never as absolute as they believed. Now, the empath is gone not physically, but energetically and emotionally. He no longer carries their criticism. He no longer responds to their provocations. He no longer allows them space in his thoughts. And that is the ultimate liberation. So if you have ever wondered how an empath fights back, understand this. Not through rage, not through cruelty, but through clarity, strength, and unwavering detachment. Empaths do not become unyielding out of malice. They do so out of necessity. They stop investing energy where it is abused. They stop extending forgiveness where there is no genuine remorse. They stop loving those who consistently harm them, and in doing so, they end the cycle. The empath who once poured everything into the narcissist eventually offers nothing at all. And for a narcissist, that absence of supply is the harshest outcome imaginable. Thank you for engaging with this message. If it resonated with you or offered insight, consider sharing it with others who may need to hear it. Awareness is the beginning of recovery. Understanding the dynamic between empaths and narcissists allows us to see not only the damage, but the growth that can follow. Remember this: you are not alone. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are human healing from something deeply complex and often misunderstood. Keep moving forward. Trust your intuition. And never forget that your strength is real and it fully belongs to you. Now,